There you go. Hello, and welcome to It's Tea Time with myself, Neville Gaunt, and Tony Westwood.
Good morning, Neville.
Good morning, Tony. And the last week, we hope people have been practicing that simple little drill, just moving the arm from literally your wrist from left to right or right to left, depending on whether you're right-handed or left-handed, because practice doesn't make perfect. It's the right practice that makes perfect.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I sent a little reminder out yesterday, and it's not practice that makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. What's been interesting, the feedback we've had this week is, Tony, we watched that video and we thought, oh, that's fantastic. That's I'll just practice that at home because it just looks such a simple thing to do. I can sit there and watch TV and do that little exercise. And the guys who tried it actually found that they couldn't concentrate on watching TV or listening to music. They found the club face was the club was going all over the place. And it's not that as easy as you think to actually keep that traveling horizontally parallel to the ground to understand how to articulate your wrist or both wrists whilst you're actually swinging a golf club. So they've had to focus more diligently in what they've been doing. They've had to effectively pay attention, which in our world we're talking about raising awareness.
Exactly. Pay attention. I mean, how many times has your teacher told you at school to pay attention, Westwood? I know my teacher used to. But the point about this is a drill that you keep doing. Okay, this isn't about just doing it once off. As Tony says, you've now done it last week. You can now forget it. No, the answer is keep doing it, because all of these drills, when you put them all together, actually are part of your practice routine. And we haven't even got down the golf course yet. We haven't even got to the driving range. Some of you have even been on the settee trying to watch the TV at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it up a little notch today, and we're going to do another little drill for you. So over to you, Tony.
Right. So I've got a tennis racket here. I've got a table tennis bat. Obviously, we can focus on with the golf club as we did last week. I want to emphasize today where a lot of golfers really struggle in terms of what's happening when they're hitting the golf ball. Impact, if we listen to what science tells us, is around about 4 milliseconds. Now, I don't know about you, Neville, but I struggle to control most things for a few seconds, let alone 4 milliseconds. So that means as the club head is hitting the golf ball, it's in motion. I think many golfers see photographs in magazines of an impact position. And an impact isn't a position, it's just a brief moment in time. To emphasize this, if I've got a tennis racket, so imagine the tennis racket is the face of the club. As I hinge my wrist backwards, the face of the racket looks upwards. As I then hinge my wrist forwards, remember it stays nice and horizontal. That racket head, as it passes the golf ball, actually moves the opposite way. So when my wrist is in the position for the right-handed golfer after impact, the face of the racket is now looking down. So this point here, as we're hitting the ball, isn't a point where we stop and control the club face. It is just a brief moment in time. And the more we can allow that to freely release, the better our golf shots will be. With the table tennis bat, we have a red side and a black side. So if I start with the red side facing forward being right-handed, if I hinge my wrist backwards, the red face of the bat is upwards. As I hinge forwards, going horizontally, the black face is now looking upwards. So that moment is a brief moment there as we're hitting the golf ball. It's not a point where we stop and control the club face and carry on. If we're controlling the club face, the club head is slowing down and we're losing control over what's happening. So the more we can relax and allow that action just to happen, the better our golf shots will be. And effectively, that's where the timing of the shot comes in. Your ability to trust when you can learn to let go. Great story I heard many years ago was when Bubba Watson was learning to play with his dad when he was very, very young. Bubba's dad said to him, he says, okay, Bubba, here's what you do. Learn to swing it hard and swing fast. Hit it hard and swing fast. Well, what if it doesn't go straight, Bubba said. He said, don't worry about that. You hit it hard and swing it fast, and then we'll work out where it's going. So you have to have that ability to let go before you can begin to learn to control.
I think that is probably one of the greatest stories that are out there, and I'm sure that anyone first practicing golf on the driving range, when they're watching other people, they're looking at all of what they're doing. And the thing is, forget what they're doing, because they may not be doing the right practice.
Absolutely.
They're doing the practice that they have got comfortable with. The time now is to do the right practice for you. And this little hinging technique, actually, as you can now hear what Tony's saying, as you turn, literally, your wrist, you're actually moving towards the golf club, the golf ball, and then away from the golf ball. And it is that few milliseconds there that is the most important part of your knowledge transfer. And knowledge transfer simply is what happens when I hit the ball.
Absolutely.
Now, we haven't put a ball in our practice sessions yet because you don't need it. What you need to do is to be getting the body, the wrist action right. And as you noticed, tennis players do this, badminton players do this, table tennis players do this, squash players do this, although in squash it's not so much of the wrist. But the point is, it's exercising that wrist. And do you know what? As you get older, Tony, I've noticed the more I exercise, I do this in the car now, when I'm sitting still. Everyone thinks I'm probably conducting the music or something, the orchestra. But actually, it's loosening up the arthritis that's ultimately setting in.
Yeah.
So these things are going to do you some good for your health as well. But let's just do that last little piece of the drill again. Can I suggest you do the table tennis bat, because the red and the black probably
the red and it works well, doesn't it? The red and the black.
Absolutely.
And I use it when I'm coaching. We start with the red facing where we're hitting the ball, just like we'd line up the club face. As we hinge back, the red face looks upwards. As we then hinge forwards, we can begin to see the black face appearing, and now the black face is down. So we start from there again. We hinge backwards, red up, red down, and black up. So it's that point in time there where we collect the ball, which is a free and easy action, just letting that release and go forwards. And the more proficient we can be at doing that, the better our golf shots will become. Many times golfers have said to me, but how do I control what's happening? And well, if you're trying to control what's happening, the club head isn't traveling fast enough, you don't hit the ball anywhere. It's about learning to let go, then paying attention to what happened, and then seeing if you can change it, which we'll get on into later episodes. I think between now and Christmas, I think with the drills we've just done, we will begin to expand the golfer's awareness into then linking what happened with the club head and the club face and what happened when we made contact with the golf ball, which then will open up a whole new world of opportunities as we move into 2023.
You're absolutely right. And again, what we're doing is we're just layering on. So we're still literally in the foundations. So don't rush this. You shouldn't be rushing it, because it will take time. And the better practice you do, the more practice you do, guess what? The better you get at it. So thanks very much for listening. I hope that's been useful. Remember, the right practice makes perfect. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
Good night.